Where are you on number 10? I just need a name. I don't even want to talk about it. Just who?
Well, Harry Byrne getting a recall, I know it was sort of well flagged, but it's still it's big, you know. Andy Farrell spent so much in November bigging him up, and now he has a chance to pick him for Paris if that's what the way he wants to go. I wouldn't be surprised if Andy Farrell doubles down by picking Sam Prendergast. I don't think Jack Crowley has done his case much good at all over the last few weeks with his form with Munster, particularly last weekend in terms of the missed kicks, and I think he's in danger of possibly even losing out to the match day 23. So I don't know, Joe. Like if you put a gun to my head right now, I would think Sam Prendergast will be the one to start for all the reasons that we've spoken about at length in this podcast. That Andy Farrell clearly values the attacking traits that Prendergast brings. And I think, to be fair, I know Harry Byrne has started a couple of the big away Champions Cup games in Leicester and Bayonne, but Leinster's attack has still looked the best when Sam Prendergast is on the pitch. But the thing about Prendergast and Jack Crowley actually is in recent weeks they've both found themselves being moved out of out half, which is not a good sign. And I would think Andy Farrell is raging about that because Munster and Leinster are doing what suits them best, and Prendergast was very good from fullback at the weekend against Bayonne, but it's not a great sign if you're being moved for Harry Byrne, who obviously took over the kicking duties. In Jack Crowley's case, it's JJ Hanrahan, who hasn't exactly shot the lights out since he's come back. He took over the kicking to touch last week against Cass with Jack Crowley moved out. So it's a real tricky situation. I don't think we're none the wiser a year or over a year out from the World Cup where we're at with the 10 situation, which I don't know, some people could argue it's a good thing to have that competition, but I think Andy Farrell would much rather it be a little bit more solidified.
Yeah, it's not a good thing at the moment.
Mm.
I mean, because what we're trying to do with our 10s at the moment is actually accommodate some glaring weaknesses as opposed to, God, they're all shooting the lights out. It's so hard to pick.
Mm-hmm. They all have glaring, I think, weaknesses.
Glaring problems. Yeah.
And they're not getting better, which is the worrying thing.
No. Like, funny, I think Prendergast is attacking better than ever at the moment. He looks incredible at the moment. He's really finding his feet, his eyes in an attack.
Yeah.
But the tackling is the tackling, and you're away in France, and they'll target him.
Mm-hmm. Which they did in Dublin.
Yeah. And there's the kicking off the tee, which, you know, if Ireland are going to win this game, it's going to be tight.
Mm-hmm.
If France could win the game tight, or could be 15, 18 points if they're in the mood. But Ireland are going to win this probably tight if they're going to win it. So you would presume 90% of kicks have to go over.
Yeah.
It's tricky. It's a fascinating one.
That's why Harry Byrne, I think, gives you...
Well, he's the hybrid.
A mix of the both, but without maybe the flash and the excitement.
That 7 out of 10 of everything.
And maybe that's what Ireland need right now, but it's some turnaround for him.
No, it is. Rob Kearney was at the Virgin launch last week, and he thinks Byrne's going to get the nod.
And Rob Kearney would be well connected.
Well, I never want to say it to him, but I'm like, are you talking to Johnny Sexton?
Yeah.
Do you like play paddle together?
Yeah.
What's going on? I don't reveal. I'm like, you seem just so sure of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know.
When ex-players, a bit like Luke Fitzgerald on the left wing, when they come out with stuff like that, you always have to take note of it because the circles that they mix in.
I love a good Luke Fitzgerald. I was talking to someone I really respect.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay, cool.
And then we were playing paddle.
Yeah. So I don't know. It is fascinating though. This Six Nations, I mean, this is it really in many respects. So Fabien Galtier has picked his 7th Six Nations squad. There is some talk, looking at the French press, of back-to-back Six Nations championships, which has not happened since 06-07. And they have the favourable year this time around in that they have Ireland at home and England on the final day of the championship at home. It's a 42-man squad to Ireland's 37-man squad. And I suppose Galtier has just kind of caused ructions, really, by leaving out their all-time top try scorer Damien Penaud, by leaving out Gaël Fickou, who is on 98 French caps and just on the cusp of becoming only the third. I mean, it's harder to do it in French rugby. Only the third centurion in French rugby, but he's out of the squad. And Gregory Aldrit out of the squad as well. So Fickou, Aldrit, Damien Penaud out of the squad. I think, you ask the average rugby fan, name 10 French players. I think these 3 are in everyone's 10. Big players. Like Fickou's been sensationally good at centre for a good few years now. Penaud's Penaud and Aldrit's Aldrit. So just reading the French press, Galtier, when he first took charge, you remember for however long, French selection was all over the place. I mean, you'd have different teams week to week. There was no consistency. It was emotional. It was reactionary. It was crazy. And Galtier came in and said, "Let's settle all that right down." Went with the young players and stuck with them. He calls them premium players, is how Google Translate refers them to me. So about a year ago, Galtier very publicly in the French media said the era of the premium player being protected is over. And this very much bears that out. I can't get the info on Gail Fiku. I don't know, is that form? I don't know what that is. Damien Penaud, obviously, last year, after a stunningly terrible performance against England, dropping balls, bad attitude. A lot of criticism of, even from the French coaches, the French staff have pointed out his lack of defensive work, and his attitude in defence is an issue for them. So he was left out of that match last year, that one match after the mixed performance in the defeat to England. But out of the squad is another thing, because anytime I've seen Bordeaux this year, he's ripping it up. What do you make of all this? Aside from the fact that it's great fun.
Yeah, great talking points. Yeah, I think it's worth going through them on a case by case, the three of them. So Penaud, yeah, you're right. I think himself and Galtier have a frosty enough relationship. I think that much is clear from the outside looking in. I think something that Yannick Brou, the Bordeaux head coach, said not that long ago is that now that Penaud has become the Champions Cup top try scorer, he wants to become the top assister. And that's why he's been throwing mad passes to set people up when he could have just scored the tries himself. And I wonder if that kind of attitude is something that Fabien Galtier is just like, I can't be dealing with this. You know, you're an out and out try scorer. And I think he is. He's a bit of a throwback, I think, to French players from yesteryear, and there's something wonderful and magic about him. But if he's not a great trainer, and I think Galtier has liked the French winger Adesagbe, who I'd imagine is the one who's going to come in for Penaud. But the timing of this, Joe, is never a good time to drop your top scorer, who has been in brilliant form for Bordeaux. But it has ramifications for the out half situation, because Romain Ntamack has been ruled out of the Ireland game due to injury. And there's a big push in France now at the moment for Mathieu Jalibert to finally get his chance in the Six Nations. He's obviously played before, but to be finally handed the keys to the kingdom as such. But he's another player who has a frosty relationship with Galtier. If you remember, he left camp, I think it was last year, and looked like he might not play for France again under Galtier. Now, Galtier could do a very French thing by playing Thomas Ramos, who is a fullback. He could put him at 10. The issue with Jalibert is that he's very much the alpha, and obviously he's playing alongside one of rugby's biggest alphas in terms of Antoine Dupont, who, by the way, it's going to be his first game back, and I would say Andrew Porter's not going to be playing, but I'd say the French crowd are going to give Tadhg Beirne a bit of a hostile reception, I'd imagine, for the incident that was no fault of their own, the injury that Dupont got last year. But if you're going to pick Jalibert at 10, surely it makes sense to have your two Bordeaux wingers in Louis Biébraille on the wing and Damien Penaud on the other wing. So it's very hard to make sense of that unless Galtier is going to put Thomas Ramos at 10, in which case he's not really worried about that Bordeaux connection.
Talk about, whatever, leaving Zach Ward out, talk about creating a rod for your own back here.
Yeah.